Hi, it's Winton Churchill with the Barefoot Consultants, and we'd like to welcome you to our Facebook Friday call. We'd like to welcome all of those of you that are listening live. Also appreciate all of those of you that are listening on the playback. We actually have most of our listeners come in on the playback, and so that's always uh, fun. And we respond to comments that you leave in the chat, even though you're listening to the playback. So we're happy to do that. And today, as I was preparing for this about a week ago, I came across this woman by the name of Phyllis May, and she is all over this concept. And they actually named a holiday in early March for her. And so let me see if I can show you her Facebook page. She's an author and coach. Let's see here. And she is let me share the screen. Share screen. Got it. Here we go. She's called the Fiery Retiree, and she actually created a holiday that says refire, don't retire. And that's very much a concept that was something that we started the Barefoot Consultants with I don't know, 15 or 16 years ago. The idea was to transform your retirement, to do something different. For many people up to now, retirement meant heading back to to a life where you sort of sat in the easy chair and watched TV. And the good news now is there's such a great new set of opportunities to engage in as you go forward. And so I would encourage you to head on over to her site. It looks like she's active on this. She just posted something 4 hours ago. She has funny cartoons and certainly a perspective that's very much aligned with ours of doing something in retirement rather than just sitting back and taking it easy. So encourage you to take a look at that if you get a chance to do that. And let me see, if you're just checking in, let us know where you're from. And that's always fun to know. And even if you're listening to the playback after we recorded this live, always fun to hear from people and see where they're coming in from and that kind of thing. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, sort of piggybacking off Phyllis's concept of refire, don't retire, is that coming into retirement, you want to have a perspective on what it is you're going to do. You want to have an idea of something, in my mind, that is productive and enjoyable, rather than just we'll wait and see what happens. My experience is when you wait to see what happens is that not so much good things happened. And that's unfortunate. Life can turn into doctor's visits and shopping trips. And that's not really what nourishes us. That's not it. And there's Bob coming in from Roatan in Honduras. And Jackie, good to see you, Bob. And Bob does, he's a diver, and he takes people on dive trips and takes some amazing photographs. And if you get a chance to take a look at some of his photographs there, some certainly posted on his Facebook page, encourage you to do that. And what Bob's doing is the perfect example of what is fun and interesting and engaging and helps people, sort of nourishes people. People go to different parts of the world and they go on diving trips. And for most, I know for me, I've done a little bit of diving, and it's always just a magical world when you're underwater and you're seeing the sights and sounds of seeing and hearing the sights and sounds of nature, and so much more enjoyable than, say, going to Costco for the food run for the month, or so much more enjoyable than going for your dental checkup, annual dental checkup, or that kind of thing. And all those things are good. Like, it's good to go to Costco, and so you have food to eat, and it's good to go to the dentist, so that, and there's Randy coming in. Good to see you, Randy. It's good to go to the dentist, so you take good care of your teeth and that kind of thing. As my father, who was a dentist, used to always say, with his tongue in his cheek, be true to your teeth and they will never be false to you. And so just words to live by. So we want to do those things. But if you're not planning to do interesting things, exciting things, things that nurture you, and I think particularly things that help other people, this whole concept of being of service is very important to extending our lives in a quality way. And that's something, we've seen examples of that over the years. One that just pops to mind is Mother Teresa. There's a person that was doing the charitable thing and the helpful thing and that sort of thing. And all the way through her life, and had a very long life, and at a time when a lot of people would think about retiring and sort of hanging up their spurs, she was headed out there and changing the world, for kids, families, people that were disadvantaged. And there are some people that look at the idea of freelancing and they kind of turn their nose up around it, because they say, well, that's making money, and how can you really feel that you're of service when you're getting paid to do something? And what I found is the great thing about freelancing is you have that personal relationship with somebody. You're not dealing with some faceless corporation. You're dealing with an individual typically. And when the work you do for them makes you, when they accomplish their goals because of the help that you've given them, even though they're paying you, there's an extra component to that relationship now that makes you feel good. You're happy at the end of the day that you've helped them. And I contrast this in some cases to, I've known many people over the years that when they retire, they've been active investors all their lives. So the investing is something that they like doing. So they keep doing that. But when you do investing, at the end of the day, you can kind of be in a knot. Was the market up? Was the market down? Is the winter season going to create displacements? Is it going to cause certain stocks to go up, certain stocks to go down, that kind of thing? And when you've helped somebody at the end of the day, there's not any of this sort of nagging, what's going to happen out there. And you have the opportunity to relax and reflect on how you've helped that person, and enjoy a calm and peaceful period of recharge, rest, and relaxation, rather than kind of that being on edge, wondering, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Did I take care of this? Did I forget to do that? Kind of thing. So one of the things that are not so obvious when you first look at freelancing that I so much enjoy is it gives you that opportunity to reflect and be satisfied about what you did. Where if you're making a stock trade or a currency trade or whatever it might be, it could be providing you income, and that's good. But it's just another transaction in many respects. There's no human involvement. There's no sense of helping somebody else out. I guess in an abstract way, you're helping out the company that you're investing in or that kind of thing, but it's just not the same as having that direct personal contact. and knowing something that you specifically did help them achieve their goals. And there was another article that I ran across in preparation for this, and let me pop that article up. We'll look at it for just a moment. And this comes from the British Psychological Society. Just published. I'm looking for the date on this thing. But it talks about being in lockdown and this whole idea of there we go. Chrome tab. During lockdown, and of course, a lot of great insights and research in all fields are coming out of this lockdown. Certainly, a terrible situation, the pandemic, and that kind of thing. But I think this is a time where we'll see lots of health breakthroughs, lots of psychological breakthroughs, and kind of in terms of what keeps people happy, what causes them to get depressed, what helps them get out of depression, that kind of thing. And so here's the British Psychological Society, and they say that during lockdown, meaningful activity is more fulfilling than simply staying busy. And that's really how I see freelancing. You know, freelancing for me and for many of the people in our programs is about having fulfilling activity, knowing at the end of the day that you've helped somebody further on down the road. And this makes sense when you see it and you reflect on it, because of course it's more valuable to do something meaningful than just, you know, it's easy to go on to YouTube and just look at video after video, or with just sort of wandering. There's always something entertaining that the Google algorithm is pushing up to you. But the whole idea of during lockdown, finding those things that are meaningful to do is much more valuable. My concept, the phrase I use around that is you have to have a through line. When you sit down every day and you do freelancing, you have a certain set of clients that you help. You have a certain set of people that are benefiting from what you're doing. And that really helps pull you through the process. We all have good days and bad days and medium days and, upset in the morning, triumph in the afternoon, or vice versa. There's just kind of an up and down that goes on through this. And so I'd like for you to pop into the chat window some of these things that you find meaningful when you want to relax or unwind during the pandemic. What do you find meaningful to do that gives you meaning? And I was talking to somebody about this question recently, and what they like to do is they're in a place where it's very easy for them to go fishing. And so fishing is what I would call the through line for them. They know that every few days they can go fishing. Sometimes there's lockdowns and they may not be able to go fishing for a month, but they know that when that month is over, they're going to be able to go fishing again. And so if you have something that you do like that you find meaningful and useful, I appreciate it if you'd pop it in the window. I know for me, it's photography. If I ever feel a little wound up at work, which can happen when you're sitting at driving the desk of a freelancer all day, is that for me, going out and taking photographs is something I love to do. And I'm fortunate in most of the places that I've lived over the last 15 years, very scenic, very interesting, lots of amazing photos. And let's see here. And the thing that just unwinds me is taking photos. So, who knows what it is, but I'm sure it's something somewhat mechanical in your brain, is rather than focusing on a screen and typing on a keyboard, you're just out looking for things, and you're almost looking for things. You see what's in front of you, but you're looking for something in terms of what's in front of you, a section of what's in front of you that would create a great photograph. So you're not, you're taking in the whole scene. You might be relaxing as you're walking through a forest or on the edge of a lake or whatever it might be. But this is suddenly you see something that looks amazing, and you focus on that and you photograph it, and that's something that you're able to share now through social media. So not only you will get enjoyment out of that, but other people will get enjoyment out of that as well. So lots of good ways to break out of that. But if you were doing photography one week and stamp collecting the next, and baseball card collecting the following week, if you're jumping to things, it tends not to be as satisfying as doing one thing consistently over time. Doesn't mean you can't do some of those other things as well, but what's your through line? What is the thing that for you just nourishes you, relaxes you, gets you in that groove where it seems to rebalance your life? And I think that's what a lot of what we're looking for during this pandemic, certainly, and a lot of what we're looking for as we plan our lives after retirement. And it's interesting now in our orbit, we have two distinct groups. We have people that want to do freelancing and want to do it 35% of the time. And then we also have, and those are mostly people that are in the few years before they retire or already have retired. And then we have another group of people that are sort of late 40s on, or the 50 plus crowd, who are not quite ready to retire, but they know they don't want to continue doing what they're doing. And that's a slightly different audience. They're interested in working more hours of the week online and that kind of thing. But they're also interested in living a more balanced life. And some of the ways they do that is they move abroad, because you can live a lot more inexpensively living abroad typically than you can live in the U.S. And Leslie, welcome, Leslie, enjoys doing writing, researching, and then creating digital downloads in Canva. That is very cool. And of course, as you know, that's a very much in demand freelance activity, but it also looks like something that you really enjoy. And that's so important. And then another great comment, and cooking can be fun, but it's not when the family's hungry and chomping at the bit, and you're under pressure to produce dinner. And so yeah, that's a very good insight there, and something that's very enjoyable. That's one of the neat things about freelancing, is you can go into it and kind of pick the areas that you work in, and shape your own world. This is something that a lot of times in our career we were not able to do, because you had a job and you happened to be good at something, and maybe you got promoted because you were good at that job, and it took you away from the things that you enjoyed doing the most. And so that's an important thing to realize, that as a freelancer, you have much more control around balancing your life and getting that refired feeling, rather than the rather sedentary role models that we had, and maybe our grandparents and maybe our parents when they reached retirement age. Different people break in different directions. And it's just so interesting to see how people that really lock in on that commitment to say, kind of, damn it, I'm going to make sure my retirement is fun rather than, waiting for the next test results from my doctor, or going to the Costco and filling up the shelves, or in Leslie's case, making sure that she's doing some writing and researching and working with a very creative tool like Canva in order to balance out the other times when the obligations that we have to our families and our relationships inevitably will come in, and we want to be there for the members of our family or friends or coworkers, that kind of thing. But it's always nice to have these islands of self-directed activity that you really enjoy interspersed in those, because if your whole life is about obviously doing those things that are an obligation, that is not as much fun as being able to pull that in there. And it's interesting, baby boomers, especially those more towards the 65-year-old retirement age or just after in their life, we really find that we kind of have to untrain them. They get to pick what they want to do. They don't have to wait for a boss to decide what they are doing, or they don't have to go in a certain direction in terms of what they're doing. And I had examples in terms of companies that I work for and that kind of thing. Most of it very enjoyable, very interesting work, but some of it sometimes, just that obligatory stuff that you have to do. You have to go to the human resources meeting to get trained on something, or you have to go get trained on something that you're never going to use in the part of the company that you work in, or that kind of thing. But it is, when you work in a company, you don't have that prerogative to make those choices. So that's something to be aware of. So if anybody on the line has any questions or would care to share what they enjoy doing, that would be great. We've got a number of listeners on now, but I know that most of our listeners, 95% of our listeners, come on this call or this Facebook Live after the fact, and it would be great to see your ideas of what energizes you, in Phyllis May's words, what refires you, what brings you to the point of being interested, and what's always satisfying to you. And this is a great time in our lives to understand that. So with that, I'll bring our session to a close today. We look forward to seeing those of you that are members in our Facebook group on our Tuesday night call, that are members there, and also in support. If you're working through our programs, we're happy to answer any questions, that kind of thing. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week on Facebook Friday. Take care. Adios.